is still casting. Are you directing a show this month?
I'm not. I have yet to direct a show.
I'm excited for whatever that, if that ever becomes a thing you want to do.
Yeah, maybe one of these days.
All right, so it looks like we are streaming. Hello, Twitchverse. I'm here today with Stacy Leonard. If you're watching No Pants Here, excuse me, anywhere other than Twitch, go ahead and move on over to Twitch so you can engage with us. And if you have any questions for Stacy, throw them in the chat, or just suggestions of weird words that we work into this interview in some strange way. But anyway, Stacy, welcome. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so you were one of the original pre-international No Pants Here cast members. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So Cariel reached out to me one day and said, "Hey, want to do a puppet show?" And I was like, "Okay." In the middle of work, had no puppet. Found some socks that I put together to make a frog, and it's been, no pants since then. So
That's pretty cool. And did you start doing improv at the Hideout? How long have you been doing improv?
Yeah, so I started there. So prior to lockdown, let me use that word. Prior to that, I had been doing improv for a little less than a year, so maybe like 8 months or something like that. And I started taking classes there, really as a way to help with stage fright. And that first class I took, we just dove in. I was like, wait, where's my disclaimer? Can't I tell people that, hey, I'm not good at this? And instead we just started doing games, and I thought, what am I doing here? I'm going to leave and never come back. And then I kept coming back. And then I, actually started to really enjoy it and like it. So I'm glad I faced my fears, because it was all worth it in the end.
Yeah, I'm super glad you did too. And I think that that's pretty common. And I love the way, or at least when I'm in classes and they stop people from giving disclaimers, I love the way it kind of just throws you into the games.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to not have that opportunity to kind of tell people where I am. I think it came out later, and I feel like I was super supported by everyone, just kind of mentioning that to people, but I just got to kind of dive in, and I think that's what I needed, is just to get in there and just start doing it, so I wouldn't kind of overthink my own emotions in that moment.
Yes, I love that. I'm sitting outside, so if it gets a little loud and I need to move inside, I'm relying on you to let me know. But now you have several puppets. My favorite puppet is Reginald of Lion Pride. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Yes, I think that's his name now.
So we do have a question in the chat. Someone is dying to know a little bit about your love life. Is that something you're willing to share with us here today?
Yeah, I bet I know who asked that question too. So I was the first no pants romance. So met someone, Anne. Hi, you're watching. Yeah, met online, not your traditional way of meeting online, swiping right or left, whatever you do. So met there, and I think it's just, I don't know, a real testament to building a really awesome relationship is to find love doing something that you love, because I knew initially, like, oh, okay, this girl is funny, she's smart, she's witty, she's creative, it was already like all of these boxes that were checked. And then meeting in person was just like, end of story, or start of story, I guess.
Start of a new story.
Yes.
I love that story. I love it so much. I think you guys are adorable. I try to get Anne to send me pictures of you all the time. I am like a fan voice. And I was just wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what you love about puppet shows now that you've got several puppets. Like, you really, and we do the puppet show together, so you really embrace them. But we have a request from the audience. If you could tell us a little bit about what you like about puppet shows. They requested you do it in Reginald's voice.
You've got to watch the shows to see Reginald come out. That's a character that's reserved, for just the puppet shows. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can get some additional viewers if put that out there. But yeah, so that puppet in particular, which is pretty funny. My mother was a school teacher, so she's retired now. So this was a puppet that she had, gotten from somewhere. I think there's like a logo on its foot. So I'm sure she had no idea what her little sweet puppet would become. But it's taken on a life of its own. So I have to say the very first puppet show I did, coming out of classes, very, tame. There's no cussing. There's, not talking about anything risque. And if you go back and watch that first show, I mean, it was pretty wild. So I had no idea that was allowed, in the space. So I was just kind of completely, shocked and quiet. And I was like, wow, this is fun. Like I can get down with doing something that I would not do outside of, my day to day. So that just kind of made it more exciting and fun to play along. And I mean, puppets getting weird. So.
Yeah. It's interesting because I started doing puppet shows with you guys, and I'm in the conservatory program at Second City right now. And one day they were like bringing a puppet, and I was like, oh, I've got this. Like Nasty Cat is ready to go. And so they had everybody bringing a puppet, and most people didn't have puppets yet. And they asked us questions about the puppet and the voice of the puppet and like all these things. And they were like, okay, now put the puppet away and just do that in character.
Oh,
and I was
wow.
like, Nasty Cat without Nasty Cat is not Nasty Cat. But it was a really cool way to think of different ways to do voices and create background characters of people who maybe are a little bit less grounded and more wild and fun.
Yeah, I think that kind of touches on, going back to the whole, stage fright thing and getting into it. Like, okay, I have to do public speaking. I've had some bad experiences in the past. There was one time when I just started laughing and couldn't stop. So that was a lot of fun. There was another time where I had an out-of-body experience, like legit was looking at myself as I was speaking, which once you've opened those boxes, they're open and there's no closing them. So there's always kind of this fear in your mind of the fact that could happen. But really in improv, I mean, you're just being someone that's so different than who you are. So I would say it helps in regards to just kind of getting out there, facing your fears in that aspect. But also it's so much easier to be a character than it is, just to speak as yourself. So right now, I mean, if I could pull out puppets and do 20 different characters, I would be pretty relaxed. And just speaking as myself here, I mean, I'm super nervous just because I have to be me and talk about myself as opposed to being, a dirty lion.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I'm reading a book about stand-up, and it's talking about how like when you do stand-up, you are essentially a character that modifies just like one or two aspects of your personality and creates a stage persona that doesn't have to be exactly you. And that really changed my perception of stand-up and like whether or not like you're basically an actor who's playing a part of you, like an emphasized part of yourself. And I thought that was really cool. But now that you've been doing improv for a while, like, has it helped you with public speaking when you have to speak as yourself? Are you so nervous right now you want to die? Like, what's happening?
I'd like to think that I'm a little more chill, but I'm still a little nervous. And I think sometimes it can be healthy to have some nerves, or at least that's what I'm going to continue to tell myself. Mm-hmm. I really haven't had a chance to, I guess, practice my skills since, quarantine and whatnot. It's a little different on Zoom. But I like to think now that, I mean, again, just kind of going back to facing my fears. If I could just kind of dive in and do these things, then the next time I'm presenting to a room of hundreds of people, I want to think that it will be easier now. We'll see. I'll let you know. When that time comes, if I start laughing or floating above myself as I've done in the past.
Yeah, But it's also lovely to hear you talk about it now and just like being so human, you know? I think that that's really cool. Has improv or anything that you've learned or picked up from doing improv impacted anything else in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the whole yes and, just agreeing and really listening. So, I mean, I still find it super difficult and challenging. I mean, I'm the type that will have 20 things, going on at once. And that's really kind of how I've been my whole life. If you ask my mother, she's will always make comments like burning the candle at both ends, always having, and that's just how I've always kind of been. Um, so it just kind of forces you to pay attention and be in that moment. And I've definitely done, the opposite. And there's an explanation of the scene that we're doing, or even in shows, and I'll kind of drift off. And it's like, wow, you really can't do that in improv because you're so lost. So I'd say that's definitely one way that it's helped me, is just to kind of focus on paying attention more.
Mm-hmm.
And then the listening aspect, just really, paying attention to what people are saying and truly listening to people.
Yeah. It's it's been for me a really big lifestyle shift, those two things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I used to, in the past, have a pretty bad habit of just kind of knowing or anticipating what people are going to say.
Yeah.
So it's an impatience thing as well, and just kind of cutting someone off. And, oh yeah, okay, just to keep going. And this has really kind of forced me to just be like, okay, let me let this person have space and say what they're going to say, because I can't always make the assumption that I know the end of the sentence. So that's been another thing that it's really helped me with, just to slow down a little bit, because you can't yes and if you're not having something and to.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's true, like in improv and in life, is that words are sort of imperfect and they're pointing at a message. But you even if you think you know what the words are, like there's an energy to them and a cadence to them, like a whole thing that's happening. And if you can get that message under the message, like my favorite example is in the last short form show. One of the last scenes I was playing with John, and he's like, "Are you trying to establish dominance over me?" And he just sort of called out this like underlying thing that I didn't even realize was happening in the scene. But I think really powerful listening, like, not only lets you be quiet so the other person can speak in like their words, but lets you kind of pick up what the words are trying to point you to on other levels.
Yeah, totally. And just the fact that you can't kind of go into something, you know knowing what that scene will end up as. So that's another kind of way to just prevent yourself from making those assumptions that where the conversation will go, like just in the day to day. It's just kind of, in improv, you start a scene, and if you go in there with an intention of one thing, I mean, of course, that can just completely change. So it kind of, I don't know, just helps you to be more open, I guess, and willing to kind of let things go in a direction naturally, instead of kind of aggressively, having your mindset on something.
Yeah. And I know that you've done privately on Zoom. For me, I got a private show. Some of the funniest stand up like I have ever heard in my life. I know that I couldn't breathe. Like I was crying. Like I can't even. But what else besides stand up and improv, if anything, do you do to sort of express yourself creatively?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, for my work, so I'm in marketing, and I just love kind of the psychology behind why people are doing certain things, testing different ad copy, for example. So I do find some creative outlet just in my profession.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, improv and writing is another thing. So really, when we kind of started this whole quarantine, I just, I'm always busy. I was like, okay, now I need to be really busy, because I can't go out and do these social things that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just dove in like, okay, I'm going to write a short story. I'm going to write a stand-up routine. And I also think there's kind of beauty in doing these things and not really having an intention of what they'll become. Like for example, doing that stand-up routine for you, and I've done it, like for Anne and some friends, not my mother, Yikes, maybe one day. But it's like, that may just be it. It may just be something that I just did and made some friends laugh, and who knows what will come of it. But I don't know, I think there's just kind of beauty in like doing something for yourself that's just fun and creative without some end goal. Because I feel like so many things, in my life are just kind of like, okay, what's the end result? What's the action item? What's the takeaway? It's like, actually, this is just fun. Like
Yeah.
with our improv, I mean, we might have 5 viewers, but like we're all having a good time. And at the end of the day, I'm just happy to laugh and be around people that I enjoy being around, and just, maybe a selfish thing of just, cool, we're just doing this to have fun and have a good time.
I love that too. And I have two things to say about that. The first is it's something that I'm really enjoying about conservatory, because they'll be like, you have 8 minutes to go write a monologue on like something that's true for you. You have 10 minutes to go write a stand-up routine. And I don't want to hear any, like, I haven't done stand-up. I don't want to hear any qualifiers. And at the end, you just say, thank you, that's my time. Like, I don't want to know what your stand-up experience is. And that's been really cool to just be like, I mean, it's part of the Second City process, but just be like, I have 8 minutes or 10 minutes. I'm going to make this and put it out there. And it's actually become a thing in my relationship now. We write monologues and like perform them for each other. It's hysterical. And maybe we'll do them for you guys sometime if you and Anne will agree to go on a double Zoom date with us.
Oh, totally.
Yay.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, I was at a park in Chicago last week with my girlfriend and her kids, and she met some other mom that she was talking to. And it turned out this woman's husband worked at corporate in Second City. And Megan was just like, oh, she's in No Pants Improv. And the lady goes, I've heard of them.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know that Anne used to live in Chicago, but I'm the only current like Chicago member. And I just thought that was really cool that some random woman at the internet was like, or at the park was like, I've heard of them. So
Yeah, we made it.
I felt like we made it. I was like, somebody knows who we are, performing in the void for 5 people. And so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, cool. And actually, when you're talking about that, like having the 8 minutes and go do something, that's another thing I really love about improv. Is I feel like, I mean, I'm an over analyzer. I overthink things, just will dissect something to where there's just nothing left. And just with improv, I love the fact that it's just, you don't have time to think, you just do. So it's kind of the opposite of what I was used to doing, which is just kind of overthink things. I mean, same thing with like writing the stand up. I decided to take a class. Like the only reason I'm taking this class is basically so I will be forced to do it. And then sure enough, I have this week of time, and I mean an hour before, I'm just like scrambling. But it started, I started creating something. I was like, okay, that's what I needed, is just like kind of starting point to just keep going and keep doing without overthinking it.
Yeah, I love that too. I think it really changes your orientation to life. Like this, I'm perfectly happy if this is average. It might suck. I only spent 8 minutes on it. I'm practicing just like putting it out there. Maybe that's a date activity. We'll all write monologues. Right?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, before I let you go, is there anything you want to talk about or anything that I haven't asked? It feels fun.
No, I mean, I think that's enough about me.
Cool. Well, thank you, Stacy, for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Oh, we have a very serious request from the chat. They would like us to play a round of Fuck, Marry, Kill with the No Pants team members and name names. I don't know about Kill because I love the No Pants team members. But Stacy, since we're just not putting you on the spot, making you very comfortable, go ahead, go first.
Oh goodness. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say kill Neil, and that's only because I said that one time we were playing games and it rhymes. Nothing against Neil. Okay, what? Fuck and marry. I mean, I'm gonna have to say Anne for both of those things. I know that's cheating, but I'm gonna have to cheat.
Mm.
Say that.
Okay, Anne says I have to kill somebody. I would kill. Let me see here. I would kill John, specifically because I think that it would be fun to murder John. It would be funny. I think I would laugh at some point. I don't know. I'm going to kill John because I love him and I think it'd be fun. And I'm going to marry. These are hard. See, the ones you had that were easy are hard for me. And I'm looking at my no pants here promo. Oh, Anne says she can marry both of us. I'm gonna definitely marry Anne, so that's cool. And she can't. She can't marry both of us. Well, Anne, is Stacy already married too? Like, am I just disqualified from that, or? I gotta look up, you know what, everybody wait, I gotta get on Facebook and look up all the no pants people so I can adequately determine this. This is a great way to end the interview while everyone waits for me. Wait, I'm looking up the members.
This might be that overthinking thing that's happening.
This is that overthinking thing. Yeah, I'm gonna I don't, can I just but I just want to know what my choices are, to be honest with you. Okay. I'm going to all right, I'm gonna fuck Allie and marry Jenny.
Oh, nice.
Ta-da.
There you go.
I did it. Very awkward. Anne is pleased that we're taking it seriously. Bree is hot. Maybe I'll fuck Bree too. Maybe we'll just, have a nice little party and anybody who wants to come to my party can come. All right. That's a double entendre if I ever heard one. And now that I'm turning purple, I think it's time to end this interview unless Anne has any more requests. She says we were very successful. So I'm going to take that as we can be done here. Stacy, thank you so much for talking to me. And thank you so much for making this awkward. I do love an awkward moment. I love to get weird. And I will talk to you guys very soon. We'll plan our next double date.
All right. Sounds good.
Hi, everybody.